I do want to ask you about a particular Charlie tweet because, and not to analyze the analysis on the person it's himself, but on the proposition that he actually puts forward, Dennis, because he says Putin has clearly made a case, Dennis, for arguing that he's preparing Russia for a war that will last a generation. You know, sanctions haven't bothered him by the West. He believes the West is going to give up on its commitment to Ukraine and seek a deal long before he thinks of doing so. And when the likes of Charlie Kirk, argue that actually, Putin is a thug, he doesn't deny that, and aggression in Ukraine is a giant geopolitical problem, but America actually should rely on its presidents to solve these difficult issues and instead not hurtle towards another endless costly quagmire, as he puts it, like Afghanistan, Iraq, and Vietnam. Now, I don't wish to, put forward a question mark around the individual himself, but do you agree with Charlie that we've learned nothing from Afghanistan, Iraq, and Vietnam? Do you accept that argument, Dennis?
I don't accept the premise. Iraq was in retrospect an error. Just for the record, and I even said it on an American left-wing TV show when they used to invite conservatives on Hardball, that I did not call for the invasion of Iraq as it happens. Once we were there, I was adamant that we win, but I did not advocate going in. I didn't oppose it, and I didn't advocate it. That's as regards Afghanistan, I was for it. I think leaving was the calamity, not entering. It was not, if it was endless, well, so troops in Japan have been endless. Troops in South Korea have been endless. Where American troops have stayed, people have been blessed. It is a blessing to a country to have American troops in their country. That's the record. It was a blessing to Afghanistan. And it was a vile tragedy, a colossal error to have left Afghanistan. As regards Vietnam, in my opinion, could have been won. I think it was lost in America. It was not lost in Vietnam. If we had a draft, well, we did have a draft in Korea actually, but if we had a media in the 1950s, like we had in the late 60s, which regarded America as the villain, and the Vietnamese, even the North Vietnamese, as sort of heroic, a Stalinist regime indistinguishable from Stalin's regime, as it happens, that regarded people as fodder. But had we had that in Korea, we probably would have considered Korea to be endless and costly. The world is a messy place, and if the United States were not the world's policeman, China would be, or Russia would be, or the United Nations would be. I don't think that my friends on the right would like to see such a world, but that's what I think is the result of this view. I might add that if Donald Trump were president, I don't think he would have let Putin just take over Ukraine. In fact, in my opinion, Putin didn't invade Ukraine during the 4 years of the Trump presidency precisely because he feared a Trump response, and I think properly so. So these are unfortunate views of Afghanistan and Vietnam. In not only in retrospect, I think at the time. So I don't
Yeah.
accept Charlie's premise, and I adore Charlie.
On Vietnam, you mentioned there, you said that the American public, it was America that gave up on Vietnam. Do you see that happening with Ukraine already, Dennis?
Well, we have a reverse here where the left is for a war and the right is divided. So this is, I'll tell you this. If Putin had invaded under Trump and Trump would have responded with American aid, and nobody is calling for American soldiers, nobody. But had he done that, I really wonder if the left would have supported Trump. I think the left hated Trump much more than it loved America. And so I think that they would have been in opposition. And I wonder if Trump had aided, what would the folks on the right have said then? Trump is a rhino? You
Yeah.
don't know, because it's an alternate universe I'm proposing, but it's not illogical.